Good morning, everybody. I hope everybody is having a wonderful day today. Today I'm going to be making some apple fritters. It has been such a long time since I've had apple fritters. My dad used to make them all the time, but it's been years. So I come across this recipe on Pinterest. I will leave it linked down below for you guys as usual. And it just piqued my interest, so we're going to be making that today. I've got 3 cups of apples that I've just peeled and diced. It's about roughly 3 to 4 apples depending on how big your apples are, and I've just got them diced kind of small. And to this we're going to add some lemon juice. I've got a little small lemon here. We only need a teaspoon, so half of this lemon should be good. And we're going to give these a little toss. And it's going to keep the apples from turning brown. Now we're just going to set these apples to the side. And we're going to work on our dry mixture. All right, to my dry ingredients, I'm just going to kind of deviate from the recipe here a little bit. And I'm just going to go ahead and mix everything into my flour mixture here. So I've got some sugar, salt, baking powder, and some cinnamon. I'm just going to add all of this right in here. And I've also got some orange peel. I figured this would be really good in here. So I'm going to add probably about a teaspoon. It smells so good. And I'm just going to give this a little mix. Okay, and to this I'm going to add my eggs to my milk. I need 2 eggs. I'm just going to break them up in here. And so I'm just going to mix this together until this is pretty much well combined. All right, I'm going to add my egg and milk mixture to my flour mixture. And give this a little mix. Now I'm just going to add all of my apples in here. And we're going to toss this together until these apples are very well coated in this sauce or in this batter. All right, so I'm just going to let this sit here for just a couple of minutes while I heat up some oil. In the meantime, I'm going to clean up a little bit and then I'll meet you over at the stove. All right, y'all, so I've got my skillet here and I'm going to shallow fry these. You can deep fry these if you want. I'm just going to shallow fry them today. And I'm using avocado oil, but you can use whatever kind of oil you have on hand that is a neutral flavored oil. That will work just fine. So I've got my 3 tablespoon scoop here, and I'm just going to scoop this and put that right in there. And we're going to let these fry up and get nice and golden brown before we flip them. Now it doesn't take long for these to start to turn golden brown, so just keep an eye on them. You don't want your oil to get too hot. So once they start to turn golden brown, just go ahead and flip them over. 2 to 3 minutes and they should be ready to flip. Now once these get done on this side, I'm going to take them and remove them to a plate. Once I get them all cooked, we will make a delicious glaze to go on top of this. And it will be so good. I'm going to make some scrambled eggs to go with these for breakfast. And yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and finish these up. When I get them all done, we'll come back and make a glaze. All right, you guys, so I've got my apple fritters here. They are done and they smell delicious. I've got some powdered sugar here, about a cup. And to the powdered sugar, I'm going to add some lemon juice. This other half of lemon will do just fine. If I need more liquid, I can add some water or some milk or cream to this, but we will add the lemon and kind of go from there. I think I want to add some milk to this, just a little bit. I want it to be thick, so that way it coats the apple fritters. So I'm going to grab my milk. Okay, so I'm going to add probably about 2 teaspoons. And let's get this mixed together. All right, so this is all mixed together. There's no lumps. It's smooth and it's thick, but it's still pourable. And we are going to coat all of these delicious fritters with this delicious icing. If you want them to be more coated, you can add some more icing to them. But this is good. I'm just going to leave these here. I'm going to go make some scrambled eggs. I guess I'll show you how I make my scrambled eggs. They're super easy. 2 ingredients, that's it, and they're nice and fluffy. So let's go back over to the stove and make some eggs. All right, y'all. So I've got a couple of eggs here. I don't have anything in there. It's just eggs. And I'm just going to pop the yolks and kind of beat these up until they're scrambled. I'm going to bring my pan here. I'm going to cut my heat down to about 1 or low, and I'm going to let this pan heat up while I grab some butter. Now at this point, the pan is not quite hot enough, but I'm going to go ahead and add my butter in here so that way it melts and it doesn't burn. And I'm going to add probably about a tablespoon of butter in there. You can add more if you want. A tablespoon works out pretty well with 2 eggs, so I'm just going to add a tablespoon and let that melt down. Eggs are such a simple thing to make. People tend to overcomplicate it. They add so many things to it, but however you like your eggs, that's how you make your eggs. But I'm going to show you how I make mine and how we used to make them at the restaurant that I used to work at. Now, one of 2 things that they would do is they would do it this way, or they would put the eggs in a blender until they got nice and foamy and frothy. That's how they would get those nice fluffy eggs. But I'm going to show you how the manager taught me how to make their scrambled eggs when I first started. So once your butter is melted, your pan is hot enough, so go ahead and add in your eggs. Now, if you want to add milk or cream to your eggs, you can go right ahead. That's up to you. And at this point, we're going to let the bottom kind of set a little bit. It should take about a minute or so. Don't turn your pan up too high of a heat because you want them to slow cook. And all you're going to do is just kind of pull your eggs in together like this. Now, you don't want to salt your eggs, but you can pepper your eggs right now. That is fine. Salting right now kind of tends to make them a little tough. So once your eggs start to come together, you can kind of fold them over and kind of break them up a little bit. And at this point, I like to cut the heat off because the residual heat from the pan is going to cook the eggs. And now I like to salt and pepper them because they're pretty much done at this point. And the last thing you want to do is overcook your eggs. So once you salt and pepper them, just go ahead and break them up a little bit and remove them from the heat into your plate. All right, you guys, so I've got my eggs and they are nice and fluffy. I'm going to grab a couple of these apple fritters and just add them to my plate. You can add as many as you want, but for the sake of pictures, I'm going to add 3. And kind of spread them out like that. All right, you guys, so I'm going to go ahead and taste these apple fritters for you, being that it's a new recipe. Those are really, really good. I'm going to have to make these again when my husband gets home. He is going to love these. My daughter is also going to love these. They are so light and fluffy, and the apples aren't mushy. They still got a little bite to them. They're so good. Definitely try this recipe. All right, you guys, for dinner today, I am going to be making shrimp orzo. We're going to get started with our shrimp. I've got a pound of shrimp in here. And to my shrimp, I'm going to add some minced garlic, some paprika, and some Italian seasoning. And we are just going to mix this all together. And then we're just going to set this to the side while we heat up our pan. Smells good already. So I'm going to grab my pan. I'm going to turn this on. It's about medium low. And I'm going to let this start to heat up. All right, now that our pan is nice and hot, I'm going to add some olive oil to my pan, about 2 tablespoons. And we're going to also add in our shrimp. And now we're just going to cook this shrimp about 2 minutes per side. And then we're going to remove them to a plate. All right, so this shrimp is done. I'm just going to remove these and put them on my plate right over here. All right, to my pan, I'm going to add just a little bit more olive oil. Not much, about a tablespoon. And we're going to add in some sun-dried tomatoes that I've got chopped, as well as 1 cup of orzo uncooked. And we're going to let this cook up for about a minute till that orzo gets a little color to it. All right, to this orzo, I'm going to add in some chicken stock. I'm going to add just a touch of salt. If you're using prepackaged chicken stock and not homemade stock, you want to be careful with the salt because they add a lot. So I'm just going to add just a tiny bit. And some pepper. I'm going to turn this down just a little bit. And we're going to let this orzo cook for about 5 to 10 minutes until it has absorbed all of this liquid and it's cooked through. And I'm just going to come in here and stir it up just a little bit every once in a while, just to keep it from sticking to the bottom of the pan. And this smells good already. All right, so I'm going to let it do its thing, and then we'll add some more ingredients.
Once the orzo has absorbed all of that chicken broth, you're going to come in and you're going to add in about 1 cup of artichoke hearts, as well as some spinach and some cream. And then you're just going to mix that all together and let that cook up for another 10 minutes or so until that spinach has wilted. 10 minutes later, the orzo has absorbed some of that cream. It's thickened up slightly. You're going to add your shrimp back into the orzo and you're going to give that a stir and let that shrimp heat up just a minute or two. You don't want to overcook your shrimp, so it's only going to take 1 to 2 minutes to heat back up, and then this is done. Alright, y'all, here is my bowl. This was really good, you guys. I just topped it with some Parmesan cheese and called it good, but you can serve it however you want. I highly recommend trying this one. It's so easy to put together and it's absolutely delicious. You're gonna love it. Alright, y'all, I am making steak bites and gravy for dinner today. You can use any kind of steak that you like or you have on hand. All you're going to do is cut them into 1" by 1/2" strips and just put them in a bowl and set them to the side. In a separate bowl, you're going to mix together some flour, salt, pepper, garlic powder, baking powder, and some sugar, I think, and mix that together in with your flour and then just set that to the side. In another bowl, you're going to mix together some buttermilk, an egg, and some hot sauce. You're just going to use a fork. You can use a whisk, however you want to do it. Just mix it up until everything is well combined. And then we're just going to set up our dredging station. Once you get your dredging station set up, all you're going to do is you're going to take a piece of steak, put it in the flour, make sure it's nice and coated, shake off the excess flour, and then dip it into the buttermilk. Make sure that's nice and coated in the buttermilk. You're going to put it back into the flour, make sure it's all nice and coated in that flour, and then you're going to place it on a plate. And you're going to do this for all of the pieces of steak. Once you get them all dredged, they are ready for frying. In a skillet, you're going to heat up some oil. You can use any kind of flavorless oil that you have on hand. And then you're just going to heat it up over medium-low heat until it's up to temperature. Then you're just going to add the steak bites in there, and you're going to let them cook about 4 to 5 minutes per side. Flip them over, let them cook another 4 to 5 minutes. Once they're golden brown and cooked through, you can remove them to a wire rack so the excess grease can drip off while you cook the other batch of steak. Alright, once you get all of the steak cooked, it's time to make the gravy. It's super easy. You're just going to take out most of the oil. You're going to leave about 1/3 of a cup. You're going to add 1/3 of a cup of flour, and you're going to mix that through until it's well combined, and you're going to let it cook for about 1 or 2 minutes to cook out that raw flour taste. And then you're going to slowly add in your milk while whisking. Cook that over medium-low heat until it starts to thicken up. Once the gravy has thickened up, you can go in and add some salt and pepper to taste. Taste it, adjust the seasoning, and then it's ready to go. Here is my plate. Now I just serve the steak with some homemade fries, but you can serve it however you want. I put the gravy in a little dish, put that on the plate as well, and we just dunked the steak bites and the French fries into the gravy. It was so good. Steak is my daughter's favorite food group, so she absolutely enjoyed this so very much, but this one is another winner in our book.
All right, you guys, today I'm going to be making a delicious fall sheet pan sausage dinner. It's going to be absolutely delicious. I've got my oven preheated to 425 degrees, and I've already got all of my vegetables chopped up. So I've got some bell pepper. They're just roughly chopped about 1" pieces. All of these are. Got some sweet potato, some apple, celery, regular potatoes, carrots, and onion. And I'm just going to go ahead and season these up before I add my sausage to the pan. So I'm going to add some good olive oil to my vegetables, probably about 1/4 of a cup. And I'm going to season these up with a little bit of salt and pepper. Now season to your taste with the salt. And now we're just going to add some garlic powder. Now with these spices, you can add anything that you want. You don't have to add the spices that I'm adding. The recipe that I'm kind of loosely following, I'll leave linked down in the description box below for you guys. So I'm adding some garlic powder, some onion powder, and let's see, some paprika, some smoked paprika. And I'm going to be adding some Italian seasoning. Use any brand or blend that you like. And I'm also going to be adding some rubbed sage. I love sage in the fall. It just makes everything just more fall-like. Now you want to be very careful with sage because fresh sage is very potent. Dried sage even more. So a little bit goes a very, very long way. So I'm just going to add probably about 3/4 of a teaspoon, if that, to this. And I'm just going to go ahead and mix all of this together. Make sure it's all nice and well combined and coated in all of those spices. This smells good already, and it's just getting coated in the spices. Okay. I am going to give my hands a little rinse, and I'm going to grab the sausage, and I'll be right back. All right, for the sausage, I'm using bison sausage, but you can use any kind of sausage that you have on hand. Now, I'm leaving this whole, and I will cut this up later just because it's in casing. If you're doing something like a smoked sausage or something like that, you can go ahead and chop it up into little rings or however you want to cut that. And just add it to all of the vegetables and mix it in. But since I'm leaving this whole, I'm just going to add them to the top, add a little bit of oil to this. I'm going to put this in the oven at 425 for about 25 to 30 minutes. And then I'm going to come in here, remove the sausage, toss everything up, flip the sausage over, put it back on the pan, and put it back in the oven for another 25 to 35 minutes, just until everything is cooked through and kind of got some nice little char bits on the top. And then this will be done. I will show you what everything looks like as soon as it gets out of the oven.
All right, y'all, here's what it looks like as soon as it comes out of the oven. And here is my plate. Now, I just served this with some fresh made sourdough biscuits, so good, and some fresh sliced tomatoes. This was a 10 out of 10, absolutely loved it. But that is going to wrap up this week's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, leave me a comment and a thumbs up down below, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye, y'all.